What's going on, guys? It's Justin from Push and Profit. Hope everyone's having a beautiful day today. So in this video, I kind of want to just briefly go over what's going on with Zoom stock and what to watch out for, right? Now, we got to really take notice of something that is coming up that's really important, right? At the time of this recording, it is December 7th, but something that is coming up on December 10th, right? So the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has scheduled a meeting on December 10th to discuss the request for emergency use authorization of COVID-19 vaccine Pfizer and also BioNTech manufacturing, right? So really what we have to take from this news, right? We already seen that in the UK, vaccines have been approved for authorization for emergency use, right? The Food and Drug Administration is going to have that meeting on December 10th. They're going to have a few more meetings, and 3 days after December 10th, we're going to have a final result of whether or not these vaccines are going to be administered in the United States. So, again, I've done a series of videos on Zoom, and something that I covered on a majority of these videos is how Zoom is a beneficiary of the pandemic. And of course, with good news with vaccines coming out to the US, it's actually bad news for Zoom, right? Now, I also made a video on how I do see Zoom going to 600 in the long term, but that is a long term investment, right? I'm talking about, a long-term investment, as I mentioned, right? And it's not going to happen overnight. We saw that Zoom had this peak of 588 around the 19th of October, and then ever since has been in ever decline, right? And these declines around this area has really just been to the vaccine news of Pfizer and Moderna, right? And then, of course, Zoom started bouncing up. I made a video of how from this area, Zoom is going to start bouncing up. And then guess what? I said based on the technical analysis, because it's overbought on the RSI, it's reaching this area of resistance from both the simple moving average and the linear regression channel. I said it is most likely to fall down, but there's a chance that the earnings will come up and Zoom will do well because the earnings are still strong. Well, guess what? Zoom had their earnings and Zoom actually fell down. And the reason because of this was they had such a good earnings, numbers were looking good, and you would expect that with an earnings, potentially a stock would rise up. However, it wasn't the case with this. For example, investors took profits. Things were looking really good and investors took profits. So this is why I stress a lot of times that you shouldn't trade on catalysts such as news, rumors, and any other anticipatory catalyst, right? I like trading based on the technicals, and I kind of just like to trade a little before the catalyst comes into play, but I don't like to base my decisions based on that. And this is a clear indication of why, right? We had good news and the stock sell off or sold off. Now we have Zoom pretty much consolidating, doing nothing for the last 5 days. If I go to a 5 day chart, we see that Zoom is like doing nothing. It is flatlined, right? But going back to a 1 hour chart, something that looks really good, it looks really strong, is this support area, right? We're hovering above the support area. Zoom is due to, pick back up. I mean, we were oversold and now we're kind of just hovering in this area where we could kind of just bounce back up. But the problem is this news that comes out on December 10th, or really just a meeting that comes out on December 10th, and the news that is followed 3 days after, right? If we do have vaccines get pushed out and administered in the United States, then most likely it's going to be bad news for Zoom in the short term play, right? So we got to kind of think about this logically. Where can Zoom go if it does, break this solid support? Obviously, the next support is this area right here at 369. So if bad news comes and Zoom breaks this strong support, mind you, this is a really strong support. We've seen it act as sort of a resistance around this area in September 1st, and then of course we saw this dip, but this was just because the overall market kind of had this major dip around this time. But overall, it was a solid resistance, and old resistance becomes new support, and you saw it was a support over here, over here, over here, acted as kind of resistance over here, and it's just a strong area, and so as this area over here, it was a resistance, and then support, and resistance over here, and then ended up being support. So you guys could see that a lot of times these support and resistance areas that I point out, they're very strong just because they have these patterns of holding up in the past. Right now, it doesn't guarantee that they're gonna hold up forever, because again, it's just an indication of where to look at, where to pay attention to. It doesn't mean that a stock has to bounce up from that area. So right here, again, we're at this strong support, But with this bad news coming out, Zoom could go to this support down here, could break below this and come down to 371. Now, what to do if you are already invested in Zoom? You really have to take into consideration what type of position you have in Zoom, right? Now, if you have a position in Zoom and you're losing money, you have to think to yourself, is this a long-term investment, right? Because if this is a long-term investment, then don't get spooked out when you're in a red position, right? Think of it as it's just in your portfolio, and what you can do to counter that is just whenever there's dips in Zoom, just add more to your position, right? Because if you add more when it's down, guess what? You're averaging the price down as if you paid less for that stock, right? And when you do that over time, you kind of bring your position from being negative to being positive, right? But that's just from an investing standpoint, because I know a lot of people kind of leave messages, send me messages on Instagram of what to do when they're losing position. And I really ask them, like, are you investing or are you in trading? Because those are two different vehicles, right? And if you're investing, then just average down, right? Again, now, if you're trading and you're in a, oops, I got a message. If you're trading and you're in a losing position, you're going to want to cut your losses immediately. I mean, you're not going to want to hold on to that. You know, as I said, and then of course you can average down, but it really is up to your tolerance, you know. For example, if this breaks below this area at of 406, the support, and you bought in, let's say at 411, you know, you're gonna have to have a tolerance of almost 10%, because you know this potentially can go down 10%, and that's a big loss, you know, 10% in my eyes. So it really is up to you. Are you investing? Maybe you can hold on to 10%, but if you're trading, you might just want to cut your losses if it does break below this area of 406, and then maybe just re-enter when it hits 371 or 373, showing signs of an upward trend, right? Because I don't like to buy things just because they go down. I like to buy things after they go down and showing signs of an upward trend, right? And that's the difference. A lot of individuals will say, hey, just buy things when it's low, but that's really not. There's a lot more to that. For example, someone could have said, oh, just buy Zoom when it's low, and Zoom falls down here. And guess what? It kept going lower, right? You don't buy things just because they're low. You buy things when they're low and show signs of an upward trend, right? Kind of like a parabola, right? You see it going down, and you want to get it as it's going back up. But with that being said, hopefully, you know, you guys are being aware and alert of what type of trade you are doing. Are you trading? Are you investing? And, you know, how are you going to mitigate your risk? If you're investing, are you going to average down, or are you just going to sell your position for a loss? If you're trading, are you just going to cut your losses earlier, or do you have the tolerance to average down? At the end of the day, it's really up to you and how you manage your trades. But I'm just here to just kind of provide some awareness on what's going on. So hopefully you guys like this video. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that like button. Leave a comment down in the comment section below. And also consider subscribing to the channel. I do a lot of videos on technical analysis. I give a lot of tips on trading. So hopefully that helps you guys out. Again, my name is Justin from Push and Profit. Hope you're having a beautiful day today. Take care.